Fundamental of business economics. Yes, this is the topic of discussion in this video. We will be talking about business and why it is economically viable to be in the business per se, and what are the pros and cons. Remember, economics is only a balance between demand and supply, right? So, let me give you a basics first. Economics is the science of making decision. Remember, decision of allocating scarce resources and optimally utilizing them, and that is what economics is all about it. Now, there might be a difference between managerial economics versus microeconomics, two different things. And there are a lot of differences and then some common grounds are in between. Allow me to discuss it with a example. Let's say computer manufacture. Earlier times, let's say 20 years back, 30 years back, IBM was uh, essentially an abbreviated versions of international business machine. Then IBM was the only hardware manufacturer venturing into computers. Of late, post 2008 2009, when it sold its business to Lenovo, it is no longer in a hardware business. Now it has moved to the software business altogether. But nevertheless, what I'm trying to emphasize out here is what is the concept of microeconomics and managerial economics. So, how do you go for manufacturing of the sets, the pricing of the sets? In which way the prices has to be set for IBM? Let us look into it. That becomes a part of microeconomics because all sum total cost of individual elements needs to be added up, summed up, and probably with a profit margin, you need to end up into the retail versions thereby. So that is microeconomics. Managerial economics would be how should the price be set. Now the price can be set of a laptop or a desktop vis-a-vis the cost, the method that I've already said it to you, or vis-a-vis your competitors, the way your competitors are pricing the projects or the computers thereby, or else based on your brand names, on the perception that your brand names, the premium that your brand names might be commanding in the market thereby. So that is the managerial economics per se. Allow me to discuss opportunity cost. Now, the cost of explicit and implicit resources that are foregone when a decision is made is the opportunity cost. So I am right now, all of you are watching this video. Yes or no? But instead of watching this video, you could have been gainfully doing certain things else. So this is your opportunity cost for you. Allow me to give you another definition. Let's say the value of other product that the resources used in its production could have been produced differently, could have been produced instead, different product. Let's say with flour, with water, with yeast, you can end up making bread, or you can end up making a cake. Two different products, same ingredients. How do you matter? What is it? The opportunity cost. The bread might be priced at a tad bit lower than the cake per se, perhaps. The opportunity cost of using our resources includes both of explicit and accounting cost of resources and implicit cost of giving up the next best alternative use of resources thereby. That is what we would love to go around by. So economic versus accounting profits. Allow me to give you the definitions of accounting profit. It is the total amount of money taken in from the sales, as in revenue, money coming in. The prices times the quantity sold, absolutely, minus the cost of production of that items from which you are making a sale. So it is total revenue minus total cost is your accounting profit. But then what is economic profit and how does it differs from accounting profit? The difference between TR, the total revenue, and the total not cost. Mind the word called opportunity. The economic profit is the total opportunity cost that needs to be deducted from the total revenue, perhaps. So, the reason for existence of profit, why? And that is the reason for you to be in the business. One is innovation. Be innovative. The product which is unique, no one else is offering. The services the customer must be enjoying. The risk. With risk comes rewards. So this is what you need to go for, existing of the profit and the monopoly of power, probably a system where you have a commanding position either through legislation or through unique sales proposition, or let's say a core competency perhaps. So we have this existence of profit because one is innovative, one takes that requisite risk, and we are talking about monopoly power thereby. Michael E. Porter would have said differently. might have portrayed the five force theories altogether. We have the point of entry, the power of input suppliers, industry, market rivalry, substitute, and complements. As when what we are looking into it, we are talking about power of buyers. Now, what is it? It's the entry point that wants to go into it. Now, we can have certain industry have high barriers of entry. That means initial investment is too prohibitive. So that's an entry barrier that comes around it. Let's say power of input of supplier, where supplier might be in commanding position. In fact, they might be stating at what rate, at what prices, at what dollar value will be uh, giving or sharing their resources with you people. So that's the power of supply. Similarly, if similar product power exists onto the hands of the buyer, in which the buyer is going to dictate the terms and tell us the price at which they will be procuring the material. Again, this is something which you cannot do about it. So we have entry barriers, we have the power of suppliers and the power of buyers. Then comes the internal oligopoly market, where the rule of the game is all about competition, rivalry, industry rivalry, your company that is competing with your rival company, and how they are manipulating the market forces towards it. Last but not the least is being innovative, being substituted by your product. Can it be done? Can any other product or services complement the same facility that has been extended by your product? You need to tell me these five force framework of industry profitability. Allow me to discuss incentives. Affects how resources are used, how hard employee works. A manager should be doing wonderful job, probably, but then there are mistakes also. This effect of per hour salary for workers is to increase the output, and that is what incentives is all about. It you are incentivizing the managers to have a higher productivity rate, or let's say a good efficacy rate, perhaps. Markets, there are consumer producer rivalry, obviously, yes. Consumer consumer rivalry, obviously, yes. Producer producer rivalry, and government and the market. They have their own dynamics altogether. I again repeat, consumer vis-a-vis producers, consumer vis-a-vis consumers, producers vis-a-vis producers, and government and the market. They have their own premiums that comes around it. So managerial interest and sales maximization, separation of ownership from control in large corporation. How do we work across with it? Sales represent a measure of management success, especially since many observer focuses attention on a firm's share of market as an indicator of its performances thereby. This is what we want to emphasize upon. Am I clear? Let me tell you to bring you to the new terminology. Let's say economic optimization process. Now, this is what exactly and how does it benefit not only the end consumer but probably the producer, the manufacturer, the firm, the company. It is all about the choices, all about the choices which accrues a certain benefit, certain cost thereby. So optimal decision is the choice of alternative that produces a result most consistent with managerial objective. Did I say the managerial economics is total revenue minus total opportunity cost? Now, this is what managerial decision is all about. It how to produce, or should I say, what to produce, or should I rephrase it in better? Optimum production for the best available prices, revenue things. We are talking in one word. That word would be maximization, maximization of profit. It means maximizing the values of the firm, which is present value of the current profit and present value of the future profit. Is it sustainable? Is it protectable and guarded per sure? We're expressing economic relation in terms of spreadsheets, which can be electronically storing data. Obviously, yes, graphs, which is visual depiction of the data. Perhaps equation is the analytical expression of a functional relationship. You are basically correlating a data n numbers of times. So when we talk about dependent variable, y variable being determined on the x values, or independent variable, whereas X variables is determined separately from the Y variable. Now, these are independent things that one goes around it. One is dependent on the others, and both are independent of each other's. And how do they correlate? And how do they behave in a perfect market condition? Allow me to discuss the total average and marginal relationship. Marginal relationship is a very dicey topic for you to be explaining it on a video. Perhaps I'll show it to you with an example. Uh, Now, what is marginal? It's basically any change of the dependent variable causes by only one delta change, one delta unit change, absolutely in an independent variable. So you change one unit and what impact it has upon the dependent variable. I'm talking about marginal revenue, I'm talking about marginal cost, I'm talking about marginal profit. Everything has incremental implications altogether. And after a point, it is no longer beneficial for the organization. It becomes detrimental if you keep on increasing the size of the operation without building the capacity thereby. Doesn't, it has a boomerang effect altogether. And that is what marginal variable is all about it. Allow me to explain it to you in an example. Let's say I'm producing 0 unit, 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 unit, 4 unit. The profits when I produce 0 unit would be around $0. For 1 unit will be $19. For two, $52. For 3 units, $93. For 4 units, $196. For 5 units, $175. For 6 units, $210. You remember, look at it. We are improving upon a profit margin. Absolutely yes. But is margin be increasing? Probably no. Now, what is my margin profit? With the delta change out here and the zero, there is no profit because there's no activity. But the moment I produce 1 unit and probably make a sale, I make a whooping sale of $19 per se, perhaps. With the second unit, it's 52 minus 19, approximately 33. For the third unit, 93 minus 52, again 41. I am increasing my profitability by marginally increasing the number of production of units. From fourth unit, it is 136 minus 93. That comes around as 43. For the fifth unit, it is 175 minus 36. Now you look at it, my marginal profit dips to 31. Marginally dips to 31. Does it make sense to be in the business? Probably. You need to scratch it a little bit more. Let us come to and produce the sixth unit, which is approximately giving me a total profit of $210, but needs to be deducted from the $179 from the previous 4 units or fifth unit that have been producing. We again see a dip of till $35, and this goes on. So what are we looking into it? If we can cumulatively add everything, you see we are making a overall loss of $9 per perhaps, and that is where we need to understand. But the average number of profit is increasing day by day. It's increasing because the number of unit that you're producing, the number of operation that has been involved, it seems that we are in a business, we are doing a wonderful business, but eventually, effectively, it is a loss-making firm altogether. So, should we carry on with this operation? Probably your intellect would tell you or advise you accordingly. Let us understand the graphical total, the marginal, the average relational as on when on basis. Marginal profit is the slope of the TPC, total profit curve, whereas total profit is maximized when the marginal profit is actually zero. Average profit rises, perhaps even falls, when marginal profit is either great or perhaps less than the average profit. So in decision making, how does margin analysis plays a role? First and foremost thing, finding the maximum and minimums. So basically, I'm talking about your tolerance zone. Then distinguishing the maximum from the minimum, absolutely clearly demarcating it, maximizing the differences of between the two functions thereby. And that is how we look into it. The marginal effect of each independent variable on a dependent variable, holding constant the effect of all other independent variables thereby. Partial derivatives, the unchanged variable, are treated as a constant in differentiation process as on when on basis. Yes, the incremental concepts in economic analysis Remember, marginal relations measures only the effect associated with a unitary 1 unit change, perhaps. It's just an incremental change that we are putting in the variables. The incremental concept is often used for practical equivalent of marginal analysis. Let's say incremental change is a total change resulting from a decision that you takes. Example, incremental profit is a profit gain or perhaps loss associated with a particular decision that you've embarked upon it. So this is the major difference of the incremental concept in economic analysis. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video till the very end.